Hi everyone, I'm attorney Aiden Durham with 180 Law Co. in Colorado, and welcome back to All Up in Your Business. On this episode of All Up in Your Business, we're going to talk through the 8 steps involved in starting an LLC. But first, I would just love if you could all like, subscribe, and share, and check the description for links to additional information and resources. I would also like to thank our very special partners for this episode, our friends over at Atomic Social. Atomic Social is at the top of their game when it comes to website design and development, SEO or search engine optimization, and social media marketing. Don't miss out on potential customers because you've got an old, outdated website or an Instagram that hasn't been posted on in years. Atomic Social is an industry-leading firm that has been around for over 2 years, and they have built more than 1,000 websites. And today, Atomic Social has an amazing offer exclusively for my All Up in Your Business fam. They are building out entire websites, a $5,000 value for 60% off. That's only $2,000 for a whole brand new website with up to 8 pages. This discount offer will only be available for my subscribers, so reach out today and book an appointment with them to get started. You can check them out at atomicsocial.com or visit this link to book a call today. All right, now let's dive into the 8 steps you'll need to take to start a new LLC. First off, we need to decide which state we're going to form the LLC in. I know people talk a lot about states like Delaware, Wyoming, Nevada being the optimal states to register a business. But really, for most people, you're better off just forming the LLC in the state where you live or where you plan to conduct business. You see, Delaware, Wyoming, Nevada, and some other states have certain laws which can be very beneficial for businesses. Nevada, for example, has no state income tax. So some will want to form an LLC there, thinking that it will help them avoid paying state income tax. But with an LLC, that really only works if you yourself live in Nevada. It doesn't matter if the LLC is registered in Nevada because you still have to pay state income tax in the state where you reside. Also, each state has laws requiring foreign entities to register if they will be conducting business within the state. So if you register their business in one state, but you're actually operating the business in a different state, you'll probably still have to register the business as a foreign entity in that second state anyway. Certainly, it can be beneficial in some instances to register the LLC in a particular state, but most people are going to be better off registering the LLC in the state that you live in or wherever you consider yourself to be domiciled. After we decide on the state, we need to decide on the name. The name of the LLC must comply with the state's rules. The laws are going to vary, but most states require that the LLC name includes some indication that it is an LLC. So you want to include something like LLC or LTD or limited in the name. It also can't be the same as the name of another LLC or other business that's registered with the state. So once you've decided on a name, search the Secretary of State's records to see if the name's available. Most have some kind of name availability search available online. It's also smart to search the USPTO or the United States Patent and Trademark Office, their database, to see if the name is available nationwide. Once we've got the state and the name worked out, now we need to determine how the LLC will be managed. An LLC can be member managed or manager managed. A member-managed LLC means that the owners or members of the LLC are authorized to act on behalf of the LLC. The members will be responsible for decision-making and day-to-day operations of the business. In a manager-managed LLC, the members will elect one or more managers who will act on behalf of the LLC. The managers, not the members, will handle the day-to-day and decision-making, while the members may only have a say in certain specific acts or decisions. Most small businesses, especially single-member LLCs, will choose to be managed by the members. But whether to operate as manager-managed or member-managed will largely depend on the specific circumstances of the business. So if you aren't sure how your LLC should be managed, it's best to consult with an attorney. Then we need to figure out who will be the registered agent for the LLC. The registered agent is the person or entity who will accept service of process on behalf of the LLC. If the LLC is involved in a lawsuit or legal proceeding, the other party will need to serve the LLC with court documents. The registered agent will accept that service on behalf of the LLC. The registered agent doesn't have any ownership interest or management in the LLC solely by virtue of being the registered agent. The registered agent doesn't have to be a member or manager of the LLC. In most states, the registered agent just needs to be over 18 and agree to act as the registered agent. They must also have a physical address in the state. It can't be a P.O. box. So you, as the business owner, you can act as your own registered agent for the LLC. And you can use your home address if you're operating the business from home. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, and it's perfectly common. But if you don't want to use your home address, or if your business doesn't have a physical office address, there are lots of options for corporate registered agents. I've included a few links in the description to some of my favorite corporate registered agent companies. All right, so now that we know the state we're going to file in, the name we're going to use, how the LLC is going to be managed, and we've got the registered agent lined up, it's time to file the Articles of Organization. The Articles of Organization is the document that we'll file with the Secretary of State's office to officially bring the LLC to life. Now, not all states call it Articles of Organization, though. Some call it a Certificate of Formation or Certificate of Organization. Exactly how you file the Articles of Organization and what you need to include in it is really going to depend on the state. Each state's different. Many states have a form available which you can complete and file online, Colorado, for example. And for most states, the Articles of Organization are going to ask for information about the LLC's name, its address, the name and address of the registered agent, whether the LLC is member or manager managed, and it'll typically ask for some information about the LLC's members and or managers. Although there are plenty of states that do not require information about the members or managers on the Articles of Organization. You'll have to pay some filing fee when the articles are filed. The fee's, again, going to depend on the state, but they're typically around $100 or so. So nothing outrageous. Also, timing is going to depend on the state. Some states, like Colorado, are instant. The Articles of Organization are accepted and filed as soon as we submit the form. But some states may take a few weeks to officially accept and file the Articles of Organization. Sometimes, depending on the state, we will need to file some additional information with the Secretary of State after we submit the Articles of Organization. California, for example, requires you to file a Statement of Information within 90 days after the Articles of Organization. So you want to check the requirements for the state that you filed in to see if you'll have to make any additional filings. Again, every state is different. And now, congrats! You are now the proud owner of a brand new LLC. Once the Articles of Organization are filed and accepted with the Secretary of State, the LLC is officially alive and in existence. But our job is not quite done yet. Now that the LLC has been formed, it's time to prepare the operating agreement. Even though most states don't require it, you should have an operating agreement for your LLC. The operating agreement is an internal document which will describe how the LLC will be run, including how it will be managed, how decisions will be made for the LLC. It'll describe how the members will get distributions from the LLC and what happens if an LLC member dies or becomes disabled, things like that. If there are multiple members in the LLC, the operating agreement will be a really important tool in avoiding disputes that could ruin your business partnerships. But even in a single member LLC, the operating agreement is important because it helps to uphold the limited liability protection that we get from the LLC. Next, we want to get a tax ID number from the IRS. A tax ID number, or EIN, or employment identification number, is required if the LLC has multiple members. Single member LLCs are not required to have an EIN unless the LLC will have employees or it'll elect to be taxed as a corporation. But even if the EIN isn't required for a single member LLC, meaning you don't have employees, you still can get an EIN and you still usually should. Most banks are going to require it if you want to open a business bank account. So sometimes a single member LLC will need it solely for that reason. Either way, even if it's not needed, it's a good idea to just get an EIN. It's free anyway, and you can apply at irs.gov. Lastly, you may need to get some additional business or tax licenses. This is going to completely depend on the type of business you're operating and where it's located. Some states and local jurisdictions require a business license if you want to operate your business there. You may also need a sales tax license if you'll be collecting sales tax, or a payroll tax license if you'll have employees. Again, this is all going to depend on your specific business and location, so it's best to contact an attorney in your area if you need help determining what, if any, licenses will be required for your business. So there you have it, friends, the 8 steps in starting an LLC. Pick the state, pick the name, determine the management, get the registered agent, file the articles of organization, draft the operating agreement, apply for an EIN, and get any required business or tax licenses. It is always best to work with an attorney in your state to set up an LLC. But if you're a DIYer or on a tight budget, you can do it yourself. I've partnered up with a company called Legal Inc. to provide a great tool which allows you to form an LLC online in any state from the comfort of your own home. Visit this link or check the description to get started. That's all for this episode, folks. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. And again, be sure to check the description for links to additional information and resources. Thank you all so very much for watching. I'm Aiden Durham, and I'll see you next time.